For as long as humans have existed, we have asked the same questions. What does it mean to live? How do we face suffering? Where do we find truth, meaning, and peace? Every era, every culture has given voices to guide us. Tonight we will listen, not as scholars, not as students, but as seekers of calm, of quiet understanding, of rest. Plato believed the world we see is only a shadow. Behind every face, every object, every choice lies a higher truth, the form of justice, the form of beauty, the form of the good. He said most live in darkness, clinging to illusions. Shadows on the cave wall feel safe, familiar. Yet beyond the cave lies light, clarity, understanding. The world we grasp with senses is fleeting. Only by turning inward and upward can we glimpse what is eternal. Plato's vision reminds us to lift our gaze, to question what we take for granted, to seek what lies beyond appearances. Aristotle, Plato's student, walked a different path. He looked not to shadows, but to life itself, to the patterns of nature, to the rhythms of human existence. Virtue, he said, is balance. Courage avoids both recklessness and cowardice. Generosity avoids both greed and waste. The golden mean is not perfection, but harmony. Not escape, but living fully here, fully now. For Aristotle, philosophy was not an abstract ladder to heaven. It was a daily practice, a way to live well, to cultivate habits, to refine character. Every choice, every action shapes the soul. Far in the East, Confucius taught that wisdom begins at home, in family, and community. Harmony, respect, and virtue are not abstract ideas, but lived daily. The superior person is measured by moral example, by how one treats parents, children, friends, strangers. Small acts of respect ripple outward, shaping the destiny of nations. Confucius invites us to consider, how do we treat those closest to us? How does the order within our hearts create order in the world around us? Lao Tzu spoke with the voice of water, soft but unyielding. He whispered of the Tao, the way that flows through all things. Wu Wei, effortless action, the art of moving without forcing, yielding without breaking. Like a river carving mountains, true strength is flexible. True peace comes not from control, but from surrender. To bend is not to break. To yield is not to lose. Life flows around us, through us, within us. Epicurus, another voice from Greece, sought tranquility. He taught that happiness is found not in endless desire, but in the absence of fear. Pleasure is not excess, but simplicity. Friendship, reflection, the quiet of the soul. He warned against chasing wealth, fame, power. Those are illusions, transient. True joy is quiet. True wealth is inner contentment. Then came Zeno of Citium, founder of Stoicism. He taught that we cannot control fate, only our response. Freedom lies not in changing the world, but mastering ourselves. Pain, loss, even death can be faced with calm dignity. What is beyond us cannot touch what is within. His message still echoes. Peace comes from discipline, acceptance, and the fortitude of mind. Some doubted everything. Pyrrho asked, how can we know anything with certainty? Knowledge is fragile, limited, always shifting. Yet he did not despair. Peace, he suggested, comes from releasing the need for certainty. Rest in the unknown. Let go of dogma. Accept that the mind cannot grasp all. Diogenes lived differently. In a barrel, mocking kings, wealth, hypocrisy, he stripped life to essentials. He taught that freedom is found not in possessions, but in letting go. That simplicity can be liberation. His laughter, his defiance reminds us that much of what we chase is illusion. Chrysippus later wove Stoicism into a system. Fate is unbreakable, yet within it reason guides the soul. To fight reality is to break. To accept it is to become unshakable. Philosophy, he said, is medicine for the restless heart. From Plato's shadows to Aristotle's balance. From Confucius's harmony to Lao Tzu's river. From Epicurus's quiet joy to Zeno's discipline. One truth flows again and again. We cannot control the world, but we can shape how we live within it. Philosophy is not only theory, it is practice. Not history, but guidance. A map not to destinations, but to inner peace. The ancients speak if we will listen. They whisper calm is possible. Reflection is a gift. Rest is earned through understanding. Pause now. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of the day soften. Imagine each philosopher's voice not as a lecture, but as a gentle companion. Let their wisdom settle in your mind. Let it guide your thoughts, quiet your fears, ease your restlessness. When Rome fell, Augustine of Hippo stood among ruins. He watched empires collapse, temples burn, libraries vanish. He asked, if the city of man crumbles, where does true security lie? He turned inward and upward, not to fleeting power, not to wealth or prestige, but to the eternal city of God. For Augustine, life was a tale of two cities, one built on pride, destined to fall, and one built on love, destined to endure. Yet he did not speak from a place of certainty alone. He confessed his own temptations, his restless ambition, his desire for things that pass. Every heart, he said, is restless until it rests in God. In Augustine's words, we hear a whisper to release the anxieties of the day, to let go of ambition, to find stillness within. Pause. Let his voice settle in your mind. Feel the tension of the day ease. Let Augustine remind you, peace is not outside but within. A century later, Boethius wrote from prison. Condemned, stripped of honor, awaiting death, he asked, what remains when fortune turns against us? Lady Philosophy appeared to him, serene and unwavering in the consolation of philosophy. She told him, wealth, fame, power, these are illusions. Fortune spins her wheel without warning. One moment she lifts, the next she casts down. True happiness, she said, lies not in what fortune gives, but in what it cannot touch. Virtue, wisdom, the inner life no prison can cage. Boethius teaches us that freedom begins not in circumstance but in the soul. Even in confinement, the mind can soar. Even in despair, stillness is possible. Let this thought sink in. Breathe slowly. Your peace is not stolen by circumstance. Your calm can be cultivated. In the East, Avicenna bridged faith and reason. He wrote of the soul, eternal and immaterial, bound to the body yet never destroyed. A physician, a philosopher, a scientist, a theologian. He carried Aristotle's reason into new lands, weaving it with metaphysics and theology. For Avicenna, faith and philosophy were companions, not rivals. Truth was not divided. Reason illuminated belief. Reflection deepened devotion. Listening to his thought, we are invited to hold complexity without fear, to reconcile inner doubts, to let wisdom guide our nights as gently as a flowing stream. Averroes followed, defending reason as a divine gift. He said faith and philosophy are not enemies. Inquiry honors the Creator. To think deeply, to question, to probe is itself devotion. His courage lit the path for centuries, showing that reverence does not demand silence and curiosity need not betray faith. Pause again. Let the idea settle. Questions are sacred. Doubt is not a burden but a doorway to serenity. Let your mind float with this understanding. Within the Jewish tradition, Maimonides faced tension between scripture and science. In the Guide for the Perplexed, he sought harmony. He said, if faith seems to clash with reason, perhaps we misunderstand one or both. Faith without reason is blind. Reason without faith is hollow. His words invite us to a gentle reconciliation within our own hearts, a quiet dialogue that calms restless thoughts and quiets the night. In Christian Europe, Thomas Aquinas built a cathedral of thought. He asked, can God be known through reason? Can his existence be proven? He gave 5 ways: motion, causation, necessity, gradation, design. But beyond logic, he believed faith and reason rise together, wings lifting the soul. Truth is one, whether discovered in scripture or in nature. In Aquinas' vision, contemplation is practice, inquiry is devotion. Even as you lay down to sleep, you may feel that lift, a gentle awakening of the soul. Anselm had whispered another daring thought before him. God must exist, for he is that than which nothing greater can be conceived. To imagine God is already to affirm him. Logic became prayer, faith became certainty. Even the act of reflection becomes sacred. Amid scholars, mystics like Meister Eckhart invited a different path. He spoke of the divine spark within every soul. To lose oneself in God is not escape, but awakening. To let go of self is to touch the infinite. His words are a lullaby for the mind. Philosophy is not only logic, but silence. Not only syllogism, but presence. Here is a meditation for the soul, a quiet place to rest where the deepest wisdom can be felt without thought. Pause. Take a slow breath. Let your body soften. Let your mind rest in presence. Across these centuries, philosophy leaned toward heaven. Augustine sought rest. Boethius sought freedom in chains. Avicenna wove reason into faith. Averroes defended inquiry. Maimonides healed division. Aquinas built a cathedral of thought. Anselm dared logic. Eckhart spoke in silence. Each voice faced the same question. How do we reconcile the seen and the unseen, the finite and the eternal, reason and revelation? Their answers were not identical, Some leaned toward faith, some reason, some mystical union beyond both. Yet all agreed, philosophy cannot ignore the divine. To think deeply is to believe, to doubt, to yearn, to pray. Let their words drift in your mind. Let them guide you into calm. Let the tension of daily life fall away. This is not history. It is a mirror reflecting your own search for peace. And now breathe deeply, slowly. As your body sinks into the mattress, imagine the voices surrounding you, gentle, guiding. Let them remind you. The soul finds freedom not in certainty, not in control, but in surrender. And here tonight in stillness, surrender is a gift you may take. If you find your mind wandering, return to the rhythm of their words. Let philosophy be your companion. Let it guide your breath. Let it calm your heart. This is Still Within, where thought meets rest, where reflection meets sleep. With the medieval world giving way to a new era, questions shifted from the divine to the human. Faith remained, but reason began to shine its own light. A new spirit arose, inquiry, doubt, and the courage to examine everything. Descartes sat alone, pondering every belief, every certainty, every sensation. He stripped away assumptions until only one truth remained. I think, therefore I am. From this fragile point, he rebuilt the world. Doubt was not weakness. It was strength. To question deeply was to awaken. To seek certainty, he taught, we must pass through uncertainty. Pause. Let your breath follow the rhythm of thought. Let your mind rest in the awareness of being. Locke spoke next, claiming the mind is a blank slate at birth. Ideas are written through experience, not nature. Knowledge comes not from authority, but from life itself. Every human is equal in potential, capable of shaping destiny. His words whispered to revolutionize thought and to awaken reflection even in the quiet of night. Hume pressed deeper. How can we trust cause and effect? How can we know tomorrow will resemble today? Certainty, he showed, is fragile, yet he offered calm. Humility must walk beside knowledge. To accept limits is not despair, but the doorway to serenity. Kant then appeared, standing at the crossroads of skepticism and reason. The mind, he said, does not passively mirror reality. It shapes it through categories of space, time, and causality. Knowledge has limits, yet within these limits we find moral law. Act only in ways that could be universal. Freedom is not doing what we desire, but obeying the law written within reason. Breathe slowly. Let the mind expand with these ideas. Let the boundaries of thought settle softly around you. Meanwhile, the social sphere demanded attention. Hobbes saw humanity without order as chaotic, brutish, and short. A sovereign, he said, must hold peace through authority. Rousseau countered, man is born free, yet society chains him. True liberty comes not from submission, but from harmony with the general will. Machiavelli stripped power of illusion, teaching rulers to act as the world truly is, not as it should be. Each thinker reshaped how humans saw themselves in society. Hegel envisioned history as dialectic, thesis meeting antithesis, forming synthesis. Marx brought the dialectic to earth, emphasizing class, labor, and material struggle. Mill defended liberty as a shield of the individual, arguing that freedom is the seed of progress. Pause. Let these waves of thought pass gently through your mind. Imagine ideas not as burdens but as guides, calming the anxiety of the day. The modern age emerged, full of both light and shadow. Descartes' certainty, Locke's empiricism, Hume's doubt, Kant's moral law, all illuminated reason. Hobbes, Rousseau, Machiavelli revealed tensions of society. Hegel and Marx showed history as struggle. Mill reminded us of the fragile beauty of individuality. But shadows grew. Certainty gave way to questioning. Progress revealed despair. Philosophy turned inward, facing the trembling human soul. Kierkegaard looked at Christendom and saw habit, conformity, shallow ritual. True faith, he said, requires a leap into uncertainty, into the absurd, into personal encounter with the divine. His voice is still a whisper to hearts that struggle with meaning. Nietzsche thundered against tradition. God is dead, he proclaimed, and with him old values. Freedom is vast but terrifying. The will to power, the courage to create meaning, becomes a necessity. The Übermensch dares to shape values where none are given. Yet his warning is soft for us tonight. Without strength, despair looms. Sartre followed, saying existence precedes essence. Freedom is absolute and heavy. Every choice defines who we are. To deny it is bad faith. To embrace it is authenticity. Camus spoke alongside him, quietly observing the absurd. Life has no inherent meaning, yet in struggle and defiance dignity arises. Like Sisyphus, push your stone, find freedom in acceptance. Pause. Breathe. Let the weight of freedom soften. Let the absurdity of life dissolve into calm presence. Heidegger asked about being itself. Most live in distraction, fleeing death. Authenticity requires facing mortality. In that confrontation, life gains weight and urgency. Wittgenstein shifted the gaze, meaning lies not in words but in use. Language shapes reality. Where words fail, silence begins. Let silence embrace you now. Structuralists and post-structuralists emerged. Levi-Strauss revealed hidden patterns in human thought. Derrida deconstructed them, showing certainty always slips. Foucault exposed power woven in knowledge in institutions. Butler taught identity is enacted, fluid, constructed. These voices dismantle old certainties, yet gently. They guide us toward awareness, toward presence, toward stillness within the flux of the world. Pause. Feel your body. Feel your breath. Let thought flow like water, unforced, natural, quiet. In the 20th century, voices multiplied. Arendt warned of thoughtlessness. Adorno and Horkheimer exposed the culture industry. Habermas defended the public sphere. Said de Beauvoir, Fanon, Nussbaum, Singer, Badiou, Zizek, West. Each challenged assumptions, exposed injustice, or illuminated freedom. Philosophy became urgent, lived, active. It was no longer only thought. It was engagement, reflection, and conscience. Tonight, let these voices guide you. They do not demand, they invite. They unsettle yet soothe. They reveal that life is complex, fragile, and beautiful. And you may let their words drift through your mind, carrying calm, releasing the tension of the day. Let yourself breathe. Let thought settle. Let wisdom cradle your mind. Let still within remind you. Here reflection meets rest. Here inquiry softens into peace. Here your heart finds a quiet companion in the voices of the past. As the world moved into modernity, philosophy turned inward, facing not only society or nature, but the trembling human soul. Questions of certainty and meaning grew sharper. Thought became both mirror and scalpel, probing the depths of consciousness. Kierkegaard looked at faith and conformity, at ritual and habit, and saw emptiness. True belief, he said, demands a leap, a personal encounter with the divine, a commitment to uncertainty. To dwell in faith is not comfort but courage. His words whispered to us tonight. Embrace the unknown gently. Let it settle in the quiet of your mind. Nietzsche followed, declaring God is dead, and with him, the old moral certainties. Freedom is immense, terrifying. The will to power calls for strength, to create meaning where none is given, to shape values with courage. Yet his message is also caution. Without inner fortitude, despair can overwhelm. Breathe. Let this tension release. Let freedom soften into calm presence. Sartre said existence precedes essence. We are born without preordained nature, defining ourselves through choices. Freedom is absolute, heavy, relentless. Bad faith denies it. Authenticity embraces it. Camus quietly embraced the absurd. Life has no given meaning, yet dignity arises in struggle. Like Sisyphus, push your stone uphill. Find liberation in persistence. Heidegger asked, what does it mean to exist? Most lie distracted, forgetting death, avoiding the weight of being. Authenticity arises when we confront mortality, when life gains depth and urgency. Wittgenstein shifted the focus. Meaning is not in words, but in their use. Language shapes life, and when words fail, silence begins. Tonight, allow silence to embrace you. Pause. Breathe deeply. Let the mind soften around these truths. Allow thought to flow, unforced like water through the mountains of your awareness. Then came structuralists and post-structuralists. Levi-Strauss revealed the hidden patterns of human culture, the unseen rules shaping thought. Derrida deconstructed those patterns, showing how certainty always slips. Foucault revealed how power is embedded in knowledge, how institutions shape reality, how hospitals, prisons, schools, and norms quietly define what is normal. Butler taught that identity is enacted. Fluid, not fixed, these voices are not rigid. They unsettle, but they also offer freedom. They teach that reality is layered, that meaning is complex, and that understanding requires both attention and release. In the quiet of night, their words become soft guidance. Let them drift through your mind. Pause. Feel your chest rise and fall. Let these concepts dissolve into calm awareness. Let still within guide your reflection into serenity. The 20th century carried the scars of humanity. Wars, oppression, totalitarian regimes. Hannah Arendt warned of the banality of evil, ordinary people, thoughtless, committing atrocities. Adorno and Horkheimer showed how mass culture turns consciousness into consumption, art into distraction. Habermas defended the public sphere, insisting that rational dialogue is the safeguard of freedom. From the margins, other voices spoke. Edward Said critiqued Orientalism, revealing how culture can dominate, distort, and control. Simone de Beauvoir exposed the social construction of gender, demanding equality. Frantz Fanon gave words to the colonized, revealing the psychological wounds of oppression and the necessity of liberation. Philosophy became urgent. It was no longer abstraction but a call to action, to reflection, to consciousness. Peter Singer reminded us, suffering can be prevented without great sacrifice. Effective altruism is not theory, it is moral practice. Martha Nussbaum, Amartya Sen, Badiou, Zizek, Cornel West, each extended philosophy into life, justice, and society. Pause. Let these voices wash over you. Let them remind you thought is alive. Reflection can calm the heart. Inquiry can soothe the mind. Philosophy is not distant. It is present, intimate, and still. The postmodern condition emerged with fragmented certainty. Lyotard announced the end of grand narratives. Universal reason, inevitable progress, redemption. None can claim authority. Baudrillard revealed hyperreality, where images replace truth, where Disneyland becomes reality. Yet within this multiplicity, philosophy teaches vigilance, humility, and presence. Judith Butler reminded us, identity is performance. To rewrite it is to reclaim freedom. Edward Said reminded us, stories shape power. Frantz Fanon reminded us, oppression can be resisted through awareness and courage. Arendt reminded us, thoughtless obedience can destroy. Habermas reminded us, dialogue is hope. Singer reminded us, ethical action is possible. In this chorus, philosophy remains alive. It unsettles, yet it calms. It challenges, yet it guides. It exposes, yet it comforts. In the stillness of your breath, let these voices cradle your mind. Let the tension of modernity dissolve. Let reflection and rest meet. Pause. Breathe. Let still within remind you. Here, thought becomes gentle. Here, inquiry softens into peace. Here, the mind rests in awareness, open to wisdom, grounded in quiet. Tonight, listen as these centuries of thought merge into one gentle river. Let ancient questions and modern answers flow together. Let the voices carry you through reflection, into stillness, into sleep. Let your mind rest. Let philosophy guide. Let the wisdom of millennia be your lullaby. Let still within accompany you as you drift into calm. As we move through the river of thought, one truth emerges. Philosophy is not a static archive of ideas. It is living, breathing, and deeply human. From Plato to Nietzsche, from Avicenna to Butler, each voice seeks to answer the same questions. How should we live? How can we find meaning? How can we remain whole in a fragmented world? Pause. Breathe. Feel the weight of centuries settle into your awareness. Let the rhythm of reflection ease your mind. The ancients spoke of virtue, harmony, and the good. Plato urged us to look beyond shadows, to seek forms of truth, beauty, and justice. Aristotle asked us to live with balance, finding the golden mean between extremes. Confucius reminded us that order begins within, flowing outward into society. Lao Tzu whispered of the Tao, of effortless action, of surrender to the flow. Epicurus showed that joy is quiet, found in friendship, simplicity, and freedom from fear. From Greece to Rome, Stoics like Zeno and Chrysippus taught that what lies within cannot be stolen, that mastery over the mind brings true peace. Diogenes laughed at illusion, stripped life to essentials, and showed that freedom often lives in simplicity. Pyrrho reminded us that certainty is fleeting, and that releasing the need for absolute answers brings calm. Pause. Let the mind drift over these lessons. Allow their rhythm to sync with your breath. Allow wisdom to settle like soft light across the inner landscape. Then came the voices of faith and reason entwined. Augustine saw the restless heart and pointed to the eternal. Boethius, in prison, reminded us that true happiness resides in virtue beyond fortune's wheel. Avicenna bridged Aristotle and Revelation, teaching that reason and faith can coexist. Averroes defended inquiry as devotion. Maimonides sought harmony between scripture and science. Aquinas built a cathedral of thought, wings of reason and faith lifting the soul. Anselm whispered that God is conceived in the mind. Eckhart called us to awaken through surrender. Pause, breathe. Let these voices settle, a gentle chorus in the quiet. Let still within guide your reflection deeper. The modern age turned its gaze inward. Descartes questioned certainty itself, finding a foundation in thought. Locke painted the mind as blank slate, urging us to experience and learn. Hume revealed the limits of cause and effect, teaching humility and knowledge. Kant showed us that reason shapes reality, and morality comes from within. Hobbes feared disorder. Rousseau celebrated freedom. Machiavelli stripped illusion from power. Hegel and Marx traced history as struggle. Mill defended individuality and liberty. Pause. Let these ideas mingle in your mind. Let them soften, not overwhelm. Let reflection become meditation. Then existentialism and postmodern thought arrived, confronting despair, absurdity, and the fragility of certainty. Kierkegaard demanded faith's leap. Nietzsche confronted nihilism. Sartre called freedom absolute and heavy. Camus embraced the absurd. Heidegger asked us to face being. Wittgenstein showed silence where words fail. Derrida revealed uncertainty in text. Foucault illuminated power in the everyday. Butler taught identity as performance. Arendt warned of thoughtless obedience. Said exposed cultural domination. Fanon spoke of the colonized soul. Pause. Let these voices settle into quiet awareness. Let their questions become gentle companions in the stillness of night. Let still within cradle your thoughts, guiding them toward calm. Tonight, the message is clear. Philosophy is not distant. It is intimate. It breathes with life, with struggle, with wonder. Every thinker, from the ancient to the contemporary, calls us to reflect, to question, to awaken within ourselves. To pause, to be present, to find stillness. Allow the river of wisdom to flow over your mind. Let the lessons of the ages merge with your own inner life. Observe without grasping, feel without clinging. Let the tension of modern life dissolve in this quiet reflection. Pause. Breathe. Feel serenity deepen with each exhale. Let thoughts come and go like leaves on water. Philosophy is not the accumulation of answers. It is the embrace of inquiry, the gentle shaping of awareness, the quiet cultivation of peace. Tonight, let Plato's light, Aristotle's balance, Confucius' harmony, Lao Tzu's flow, Epicurus' contentment, Zeno's discipline, Diogenes' laughter, Augustine's devotion, Boethius's consolation, Avicenna's bridges, Averroes' courage, Maimonides' guidance, Aquinas' wings, Anselm's logic, Eckhart's spark, Descartes' doubt, Locke's blank slate, Hume's humility, Kant's reason, Hobbes's caution, Rousseau's liberty, Machiavelli's realism, Hegel's dialectic, Marx's struggle, Mill's freedom, Kierkegaard's leap, Nietzsche's power, Sartre's radical freedom, Camus' acceptance, Heidegger's authenticity, Wittgenstein's silence, Derrida's unraveling, Foucault's power, Butler's fluidity, Arendt's vigilance, Said's critique, Fanon's voice, Singer's compassion, Nussbaum's dignity, Sen's justice, Badiou's fidelity, Zizek's irony, West's fire, all flow together. A river of human thought and human heart. Let this river carry you into calm. Let questions gently rest. Let understanding arise not as answers, but as presence. Let still within guide your mind and body into serenity. Let philosophy be your lullaby, your companion, your gentle guide tonight. Pause. Breathe. Feel the timeless wisdom of the ages settling softly within you. Let thought and stillness become one. Let the river carry you into rest. Let your mind drift gentle and calm. Tonight you are part of this eternal dialogue. Listen, reflect, rest. Let still within accompany you into peace. Let the voices of millennia whisper softly as you drift into sleep.